Clifford. Ready to go.
Yo!
Thank you.
Yo!
Yeah, you know what? I can just listen to his heart.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah, why don't I do that?
Let's do that.
I'm gonna listen to your heart now, buddy. All right. Okay. That's a good beat. All right. Oh, yeah. Well, you know, I gotta say, besides being big and red, this dog is healthy as a, well, like a horse.
Now, do you think it's funnier if you do it after the well, or after his, is that a medical opinion?
That sounded very scientific.
That sounded very scientific, and then you go,
Forward. Line.
Come on, Clifford. We're almost there.
Ready. And here we go. He's carrying you left. He's carrying you right. He's looking ahead. And looking forward.
Goodness. He's huge.
for the line about animals rescue us, you laugh at that.
All right, Zeus, come on.
So I need
We might have to do this a few times.
You stay right there, boss.
Okay. Guys, you know what I mean? Now at least we've got this length there.
Oh, guys, the snake is ready.
Okay.
Done.
Oh, boy. Why would you put that there?
More. Resetting.
Try it
That was
again.
good. We'll try one more like that.
Almost nerve-wracking.
This next one,
Make sure I don't have a shadow.
It's not what-
brighter and
right.
laughier, okay?
Okay.
Here. John starts here.
The best time to find them is when you're not looking.
Gold.
So we're gonna do this part.
That's correct, sir. Jack, are you covered animal-wise except?
That's the one that was there?
Yep. See him, right?
You will.
Yep. Okay. So I need Darby, please, and John, and we can rehearse.
How old is he?
Radio.
How much?
You're over here, John.
No idea.
So,
Parent?
You got it?
When John's interrupted them, we're back by the working and all that. I want to get through that.
Got it.
Good one over here.
Is Peter ready?
Yeah, you're all good. Like, I'm casing down where the guys won't smoke car and all that. Good.
All right, find your back, Steve.
Wow. Yeah.
Yes. Yeah.
It's you. Uh-oh. Go ahead, folk.
Oh, my leg shirt now.
Just remember, don't
The more Peter knows, the more FaceTime I can get,
I know, that's
the better. That's all I want.
like that came off. Oh, that's what it was. Like, well, you know, I first played rap.
You don't delegate?
I don't delegate. They don't think you're a lobster. Yeah. Oh yeah, I hope they don't mistake you for a lobster. Yeah, I hope they don't mistake you for a lobster. That's those are the rules. Okay. Guys, sit down. Okay.
kindest, most loving dog in the whole wide world.
Wait, over here. We're part of the family.
I know he's bigger than
With the dog.
It's all right. We are friends.
Leave it right to that. Yes, he's bright red and the size of a mobile home.
Small's okay too.
Stand down.
Good boy!
We're waiting down here, guys. I know you're trying.
65.
All right, so where do you want to pick it up from then? Do you want to pick it up from Casey running in?
Yeah, hot. You need a drink. There's a big blue dumbbell over there.
Mr. Bridwell!
Emily,
We were looking for you and we thought you were dead.
Oh, no. I just went to safari. Okay. I got you. Is that a nice picture?
Oh, fabulous.
Yeah?
Can I get the side? I think you should get a side view. Yeah.
Expecting, and then if you react spontaneously, it really works, doesn't it?
What did you think of the sloth? Isn't she unbelievable?
Yes.
Beautiful.
She is.
She, yep. Chewy.
Yeah, chewy. I thought that was funny. Hello. Hello. What
He
you
was-
sniffing me for?
Taking it all in.
Yeah.
I know.
Animals know the animal
The
lovers.
softest part about this
Good.
one?
I said animals.
This time you can put the
Those
honeycomb
other
thing
girls are
out
bothering you. What?
that way. So you put it down, eat,
What now?
right?
What now?
And then the next time you grab it, you can grab it like this, eat some
Wait, it
more,
looks like
and then
that
you put
was
it down like that.
Okay.
Is that all right?
Yeah.
All right,
Okay.
guys.
Sorry.
Going.
I will figure it out. Okay.
Pumpkin's coming soon to a cinema near you.
It's actually.
Take 3. Apple mark.
309, madam.
You're 9.
309 now.
Hey, girl.
Emily, I just got a call from the school. They said you weren't there today.
What? That is crazy talk, girl. Of course I was at school. Casey can explain. You're better liar
Air is still blowing through, guys.
There we go. Nope. No.
Sherry?
That's the
46 8 1.
So I'll just watch the video. No guy or girl. The video person.
Right. Until Bridwell gave him a parakeet. That bird kept repeating affirmations daily. Now this guy has an eagle the size of Tessex.
Selling a little bit of the, you know what the magic is. That's good.
What was my last?
All right, so you like that?
Dexter.
Okay, Texas, they both work.
Yeah, good. I like that.
But we could definitely do one where I get it.
So sort of where we were, but just closer. Yeah.
Well, they'll get it. We just have a library close enough for them that we can go to.
All right, we've got 3, I need 4.
Yesterday was his last day. He was one of the first.
Oh, I love that. Yeah.
All right, cool. You'll stay with us and
Yes.
do this, all right? Round, round, round. Round, round, round. Is that enough for the dog?
Yeah.
And dog exits frame. All right.
Drop it.
Going. Everybody backs up.
What is he doing? What is he doing? Oh, great. Take cover. When are we gonna get straight on this? Because I'm hot.
Around,
We don't get that much
look at each
water.
other,
Yeah.
talk to each other, stay in your own little
Yeah,
circles.
who gave him that much water? Maybe that's one. Okay, ready? And action.
Background.
So I know you had all those extra lines, but now just stay a little bit closer to her. So when she takes off across the street, yeah.
Isn't that today? Yeah, but nobody actually does that. The school just wants my mom. My mom. Mine too. Last food stamp. Hey! Don't look at that. You're just angry because Alex won't do that.
And you just keep licking and licking, and now you're totally slobbered. And
Orange runs out.
SUVs and you're still a little scared and nervous because you don't know how to drive yet. Okay?
Also, that steering wheel is going to turn. This car is going to be running. So when I turn, your hands should just be on the wheel and you move with the wheel.
That's my dance.
Yo, what's up? They are doing the body. And action.
Come on, hurry.
Now.
Hurry up, they're coming.
And action.
Well, first, for his incredible service, I would just like to thank Captain Watkins, for sure. So thank you so much for coming today.
Oh, because it's just. Action, Clifford.
We'll also shoot it slightly wider than we should.
Clifford's coming through. Turn right.
This is in the PG.
So that's it. Basically, we're gonna just do like the run up, and it'll be the start of the series. We're not gonna do it yet. I'm not seeing it. Just so we run up. I think when we were.
Before reading the script, I was familiar with Clifford, like everyone is and should be. My grandmother read Clifford to me when I was little a lot, and I always knew who he was and loved Clifford. And so when I read it, I was like, wait, this is a live action? This is going to be so cool. Like, everyone's going to love it. The story of Clifford is about a young girl who at school is being bullied and doesn't really have a bunch of friends. And her mom's out of town, so it's just her and her uncle. Her uncle is babysitting her. And she finds this tiny red dog that she really wants to keep, but her uncle won't let her. And that makes life a little bit harder on her. And so the story is basically about her finally getting to keep the dog and him growing to be ginormous because of her love for him and her being able to keep him safe and to protect him, and about loving big and friendship and relationships. I play Emily Elizabeth, and she's about 12 years old, and she goes to this private school, and she doesn't really have any friends. She's struggling with being bullied, and she finds this little dog that she just loves so much because she doesn't have anyone like Clifford. She doesn't have a best friend, so I think that Clifford is a best friend to her and her family, you know, and they love each other very much. I would describe Bridwell as, you know, he's played by John Cleese, which he definitely has a presence on set and as the character as well, just a magical, fun character, and I really am glad that they included him in the movie because in the books he's the author, and in real life he wrote the Clifford books, and so I think it's really special how they included his character in the movies, and I think he's a really important character to the story. Clifford, yes, starts out very small, but he becomes 10 feet tall because Emily loves him so much, and it's her love for him that makes him huge. I think it's important to believe in magic because you just see the world in a totally different perspective, you know, in every which way, and when you just believe in magic, everything is just more, you know, positive, and I think it's really important to have hope and faith and believe in magic and everything. Emily's neighbors are very special people. They're an amazing cast. They're funny. They're just really great people, and they find out that people are trying to take Clifford away from Emily, and they're trying to protect Clifford and Emily so that they can stay together, because I don't think it's right for this corporation just to take a dog away from this young girl. I hope that the general public reaction to Clifford is going to be how to treat people with kindness and love, and even if someone's different, is to just treat them the same and accept those differences and just to love big. And I think people will like this movie for many reasons, for its humor, its creativity, and love. Working with Clifford on set was pretty chaotic. I mean, he's a giant red dog, and that's hard to work with. So, you know, you gotta feed him like 10 pounds of food every day, and on set, you know, I mean, he's a dog, so he doesn't have any lines, which makes it a little easier. But just crazy, you know, we'd have to restart over and over again if he forgets something, but I think pretty fun. I recommend working with a big red dog. When we were filming, I was acting against a puppet that's like 2 pieces, which is actually 10 feet to be Clifford, and there were puppeteers controlling him, and they're just amazingly talented because I really felt like there was an actual dog, like, on set, and it was really crazy. They're very talented, just, you know, studying how dog moves, and so whenever I had to do any scenes, like, where I had to, like, pet him, it felt like a real dog, and I think that definitely helped. Emily and Clifford, I think, have in common with each other about being a little bit different from other people, and they have each other, which is great, and they both don't, like, Emily doesn't have a lot of friends. I mean, she has friends, but she doesn't have a lot of friends, and I mean, neither does Clifford, so they have each other, and they help each other grow in different ways, and they balance each other out really well. Working with Isaac was just so much fun. He is just a fun, energetic spirit, and he's hilarious to work with. A funny memory on set was we were filming in his apartment, and there's a grand piano in there, and so we both knew how to play piano. He was a lot better than me. He's very talented playing piano. And so we would both play the only songs that we like knew, and so then we just kept playing until the 80s were finally like, okay, y'all are great, but we're gonna have to ask you to stop playing piano, please. And it was just super funny and fun. He's great to work with. My favorite thing about working with Jack Whitehall was he is a comedian, so he's hilarious on set, and I really enjoyed working with him. I never worked with him before, and I think it was super fun, and his character is super fun as well, and our characters together have great comedic timing, you know, and filming was fun. He also is just a great guy, and he hit it off really well with my dad, and they're still friends to this day, which I think is super cool. Working with Mr. John Cleese was super awesome. He's such an iconic actor and very talented, and I was super honored, and I never thought that I'd be able to work with him, and I think he's great for this role of Bridwell because they both have a sense of magic to them, and they have just like a presence. Clifford teaches Emily many things, just confidence too, and just embrace your uniqueness, and just to embrace yourself and to love others big as well. And it doesn't matter how you are on the outside, you know, it just matters how you are on the inside. And I think Clifford really has helped out Emily with her confidence. The movie does celebrate differences, which I think is a great tone of the story and meaning, and it films in New York City, which I think is great because I think New York City is pretty hectic. There's a lot of people there, and you know, a lot of differences in New York City as well as other places, and I really love that it's celebrating that because it's important to accept people for their differences and, you know, treat them kindness and love big. I think Clifford is the perfect movie to see for all ages because there's humor in it, which I think everyone will love, and the cast is great, and there's also just love and loyalty in the movie, and there's playfulness and creativity, and I think that everyone of all ages is just gonna love it, and especially people who have grown up on Clifford books. Clifford is a best friend to Emily and friends to everyone. He's just a fun, loving dog, and he's friendly and loves everyone for who they are, and I think that's important role model for Emily as well, and for Emily to be a role model for him too. Clifford inspires us just to love everyone and to be confident in ourselves and to love ourselves and to accept people for their differences and just you know, to love everyone.
I really enjoyed the script when I read it. It had a lot of heart, it had a lot of humor. I really liked the tone of the film, and it felt like one of those great family movies that can resonate with a very broad audience, and hopefully, if we get it right, be the kind of film that people remember for a long, long time. I was familiar with the Clifford stories. My mum had read them to me when I was a kid. I had to go back and refresh a little, but it's not the most challenging book to have to pick back up. I mean, it's great. You know, sometimes you get cast in a role and you need to read a 700-page novel. Clifford is quite a quick read, which is great. I did have to get my mum to read it to me, though, just to get her, for the nostalgia aspect, I had to get her to reread it to me. I just remember loving these kind of films when I was growing up, and the idea to be in something like this really excites me because those are the films that had a huge effect on me when I was a kid, where there's a lot of humor for grown-ups, but a lovely story for kids as well, and they work on a lot of different levels. I play the character of Uncle Casey, who is your classic funkle, your fun uncle. He's a bit of a mess. His life is in disarray. He's quite calamitous. He's always late. He's kind of messy, bit of a schlub, but very well-intentioned, kind, funny, and the type of character that always gets it wrong, but you kind of want him to get his stuff together. It's Casey's fault completely that Clifford comes into their lives. They walk past this mystical tent, which John Cleese is in, with loads of exotic animals. And she asks to go in, and Casey says that they probably shouldn't, but relinquishes immediately and allows her to go in, and there they meet Clifford. And soon after that, Clifford manages to find his way into their apartment, and from that moment forth, all hell breaks loose. We've been having a lot of fun doing scenes in the apartment where there's a 10-foot dog in a very small Manhattan apartment, and there's a lot of physical comedy. I love physical humor, I love visual jokes, and so they've really allowed me to kind of get my teeth into some of these bigger sequences within this apartment, and I think people will really enjoy those. Emily is a very relatable character because we all have experience of knowing what it's like to not fit in and how scary that can be. And I think Casey is a relatable character because I think we all know someone that's a bit of a mess and a bit of a car crash. If you're thinking, I didn't know that person, then it's probably you. Bridwell is this kind of mystical, magical character who appears at the beginning of the movie and has rescued Clifford. He's played by the brilliant John Cleese, who is one of my all-time heroes, and is, I mean, more so than anyone else, probably the reason that I wanted to work in comedy and become a comedian and get on stage. He is hands down my inspiration. It's so exciting to work with such amazing comedians, and everyone has a different comic energy, and it's so exciting each time one of them is on set and you're playing with them. And we've got Kenan Thompson, then we've got David Allen Greer, who has this wonderful part where he plays Packard, and he's kind of just dry as a bone, very, very intimidating, but very, very funny. Tony Hale, again, like a huge fan of his work. We have Rosie Perez, who I've worked with in the UK. I did a TV series with Rosie, and so I'm really excited to do a scene with her. She's amazing. Paul Rodriguez as well, yeah, he's fantastic. Like, it's just so many people. It's such a kind of like rich tapestry of comic forces. Emily Elizabeth is portrayed by the magnificent Darby Camp. She is a brilliant actress, so good, and I'm just amazed by her levels of professionalism. I mean, I'm not amazed because she has already done like numerous films and TV series. She's really, really something very special. Walt Becker is just the dream. He's such a great guy. He's a really, really brilliant director. I have just a very similar sense of humor. We very much feel like we're on the same wavelength. And so it's been a real joy to work with him. And I really feel like we have a great system, and I feel like I'm, you know, he really backs me and lets me do my thing, and I love to feel supported by a director, and he's great, and he's got a great vision for this. He really wants to make something really special, and yeah, he's a mensch. We had a great script from Jay and David, but we've also been able to play with it and throw stuff out there and improvise and work out stuff within the scene. Often when you're working in a scene with a 10-foot dog, you sort of have to go with the flow a little bit because stuff changes, because it's hard to envisage what it will look like until you're there with a 10-foot dog puppet in the actual space. So we've had to think on our feet a few times, but I think the great thing about it is that the story was there from the get-go. It was such a coherent script, and it really hit all the right notes. that they go, do you know what? I want to see Clifford too. The takeaway is a lovely message, and I would love children to leave the movie theaters having laughed, but also thinking that maybe we need to be a little bit nicer to each other.
I remember when I was a little kid. I remember bits and pieces, but I remember when I used to watch Clifford on PBS when I got home from kindergarten. I'm like, I want to watch Clifford. I go run to the TV. I really liked my role. Personally, I thought Owen was a fun character. I thought Owen was a very like kind of on the calm side. But then when he really wants to show himself, he just blew up, right? And he has a lot of emotions, he has a lot of expressions, so that's why I really like this character. My character's Owen, he fits into the story by being Emily's best friend, and he adventures with her throughout the whole entire movie. It's a feeling of kindness. Clifford is a kind, loving dog. He loves anyone, and he hates bad people, like Taryn. So he always tries to bring love and friendship into anyone's life. He's like a support dog. It's really fun, and it takes a lot of imagination. But then the puppeteers do such a good job. They do such a good job. They make it seem as if the dog is real. It's hilarious. There'd be a lot of challenges. There'd be first of all the challenge to feed him. Second of all, the challenge to groom him. Third of all, a challenge to at least keep him stable, like a regular dog, instead of jumping over walls, climbing on houses. Because imagine this, a 10-foot dog. Everyone would freak out. She brings a lot of happiness into the role. She brings a lot of emotion, and she's a really good actor and all. She's a really good actor. I really appreciate her acting skills. I felt like this role fits her perfectly. That's what I thought. I think Clifford teaches us that no matter how big or small you are, no matter how weak or strong you are, you'll always love yourself. You always love for who you are. You love other people for who they are. It doesn't matter. Walt's funny. Walt's very funny. He's a very serious guy. And he's a good director. I think he's a great director. He has a lot of tips. I think he knows a lot about acting, and he has a lot of tips, and he's given me some really good tips. So I appreciate those. Grown-ups grew up on Clifford the Big Red Dog, and then this is also a kids movie, right? So it's for a whole family, right? Grown-ups grew up on it, kids grew up on it. There's some adult jokes in there, right, that only adults would understand, and then there's some kids jokes in there that only kids would understand.
So I play Zach Tieran, who is the president of LifeGrow Industries. And LifeGrow, their goal is they try to feed the world through genetic engineering. And I don't really care about feeding the world. I don't really like people. I don't like animals. I just want a lot of money and a lot of attention. And my character's in this position where nothing is, he's put $400 million into trying to make this work. Nothing's working at his company. He's about to lose it. And then he hears about Clifford, the big red dog. And dollar signs just start swirling around because he thinks he can get this guy's genetic pool, this dog's genetic pool, and figure out how it's done. And so his goal is to capture Clifford. And he kind of just starts lying, saying that he owns Clifford when obviously he doesn't. So he's on a chase. My assistant is Albert, who's played by the very funny Alex Moffat, and who's just a lap dog, kind of. I just abuse him. And then my other assistant, Colette, is played by Jessica Keenan-Wynn, and they're just both hilarious. So we kind of have this real evil trio going around. And the fact is, it's really fun to play evil. I don't get to play evil a lot. I typically play the kind of beaten up, wide-eyed, gullible, emasculated, quirky sidekick. And so it's kind of fun to be he's the terror, which is nice. Walt, the director, he has a real appreciation for comedy. And so, I don't know, he also appreciates a good ensemble. You know, it's not about just bringing in one big comic name or whatever. It's like, you know, really balancing it out with many different comic personalities. And so, like, when you bring in someone like John Cleese, who's an absolute legend, David Allen Greer, Alex Moffat, it's this mix of just so many comic personalities. And I love how that kind of creates its own, that recipe creates its own dish. You know, it's fun to have so many different aspects come together. He is all about bigger is better, it's more money, it's everything, it's the show, it's the facade, the pomp and circumstance. And then you have Emily's character that's just this simple love of an animal and the simplicity of her life and the truth in that, you know, of just kind of look at our society where just everybody's just craving for that next big thing, more and more and more. And, you know, at the end of your life, you look back and it's always the simple stuff that matter the most. There's a beautiful speech that Emily gives. It starts off with the uniqueness of Clifford and then just grows into the fact of, you know, pretty much, not to make a very simple thing, but just kind of celebrating our differences and coming together in our differences rather than letting them separate us. Clifford, I also have a 13-year-old, so we grew up on Clifford the Big Red Dog. And I think this is what I get the biggest kick out of is, you know, many times a lot of work you're really trying to find the truth in it, and it sometimes can get kind of heavy, even if it's comedy or sometimes drama can get really heavy. And something like this simple truth about a large red dog and the love of this red dog in a children's movie, and just the colors and the joy, you know, and the scale. I mean, it's just like flat out fun to do. With the kind of comic pool that Walt's brought together, it's going to be hopefully incredibly entertaining to adults. You know, you have someone like John Cleese, you have someone like David Allen Greer. I mean, these guys are just like brilliant comics. And so it's going to be funny. But in terms of kind of a message piece, I think, I don't know, I don't want to simplify it too much, but there really is a lot of truth in just what our society craves for all the time, and what we're putting as an idol of like more everything, and we're missing the forest for the trees. We're missing the simplicity in life, the simple truths, you know, of this, the love and joy of this dog and his relationship with Emily, and the really the gold in that. And so we're kind of, our society just, and granted, me included, I mean, you can just completely lose focus of what matters. What I so appreciate about Walt is we've all heard stories of directors who, you know, they have authority, but the way they have authority is by kind of putting people down or, you know, being arrogant and all this kind of stuff and kind of abusing their power a little bit. Walt's just the opposite. Just his kindness, everybody, he has the authority he needs to be the director, but he captains his ship with integrity. And that to me carries way over into just the vibe on the set, how the work is then seen. It makes a big difference. I'm just absolutely fascinated by what they can do with technology. And just, I've seen some images on the computer of how Clifford is going to be running through the New York streets. We have this big car scene against this bridge. And it's just like, you know, you just see this massive dog running by the car, and we're in the car, and how that's going to look on the screen, it's crazy. The artistry that's going to go into making him look so believable running through the streets of New York, that's crazy to me. I cannot wait to see that on a big screen. I don't even understand a fraction of that at all. I would say, I mean, not to get too meta, but I'm obviously an extreme version of someone maybe in this role who's very greedy and just takes and wants more and more and more. But I do hope that maybe people will take away, maybe somehow they need to check their priorities a little bit. Kind of what they're focusing on, you know, and like let's get more to simple truths and what matter in life.
I play the office manager at the veterinarian's office. And I'm with Jack, of course, and the two adorable kids. And they bring in Clifford to get checked out. Jack plays Casey. And he's kind of trying to get his life together. He's a slacker. And he's trying to get his life together. And, Emily comes along and finds this dog. And their whole world turns upside down. And it's really, really sweet because it really is about family, and about coming together. And about a lot of other things. But for me, that's what really got me. I love the anti-bullying aspect of it and the misfit aspect of it. Clifford's a misfit. Emily thinks she's a misfit, and her cute little friend, they're outsiders in a very cool, hip environment, and there's so much pressure today with kids. It really is, with money and status, social media and what have you, and there's people who can really get hurt by it and do get hurt by it, and here comes this big red dog and it gives her a purpose. Walter is easy, and you need that type of director on a comedy set, especially on a comedy set that has to work with kids. You have to keep it loose, you have to keep it well structured, but you also have to keep it loose. And he's very precise in getting what he needs from the kids, which I thought was impressive. Because their attention span sometimes, because they're kids. And it's fun to see them just be kids. And he allows that. And then when it's time to shoot, it's like, okay, let's get focused. And so there's not a lot of pressure. I mean, I came on this set and I was like, oh, this is going to be easy. Everybody's chilled out. And that's what you want. Because unfortunately, not every set is like this when it comes to comedy. If you're tense, you can't be funny. And he's very clear and precise in his direction. He allows you to do what you want to do first. He watches and sees. I know that sounds, simple, but there's not a lot of people out there that can do that. Let's just say that. So, so it's good. I like him a lot. I really do. The kids are adorable. They are just simply adorable, I have to be honest. I was a little afraid. I was like, good. I hope they're good kids. And they are. They're really, really sweet. They're sweethearts, and that's fun. And it's fun to watch them when the camera's not rolling, too, because they're having a ball. Working with Clifford is fantastic, but a little frustrating because he's so big and fluffy. I just want to squeeze him and hug him and hold him tight, and he's always trying to find his mark. So I have to hold back my passion for Clifford. And Emily gets to hug him all the time, not me. But hopefully, by the end of the day, I'll be able to give him a nice big kiss and just tell him that I think he's so cute.
Is he all right?
Yeah, he's, whew.
Are you gonna examine him?
Yes, I am, because I'm a veterinarian. That's what I do. I examine animals. Come on, take a look inside your mouth there, buddy. Oh, easy. You want to maybe tell him?
Oh, yeah. Clifford. Good boy.
Good job there, buddy. All right, let me take a look there. Cool. Yeah. That's the large teeth on the big red dog. Yeah, so why don't we get you on the scale here, bud? But slowly. It's just a platinum edition of the X9000.
Sorry about that.
No problem. I'm just gonna write heavy.